Just before 4 a.m. on August 31st, 2010, patrol cars rolled quietly onto a rural property on the outskirts of Lake Crystal. The call that brought them there was urgent, a woman reporting that an intruder had broken into her home. Inside the bedroom, officers discovered the body of 26-year-old James Mervyn Nibbe lying on the bed. He had been killed by a gunshot wound to the head. Standing nearby was his wife, Jennifer Nibbe. She told investigators that a man had forced his way into the house. According to her statement, the intruder had grabbed a 20-gauge shotgun that she had left outside in the backyard after target practice the previous evening. She said the suspect attacked her inside the home, leaving cuts on her legs during a violent struggle before shooting her husband. At first glance, Jennifer's account sounded plausible, but within minutes, the crime scene itself began contradicting her story. Outside, heavy rain had fallen throughout the night, turning the soil around the house into thick mud. Anyone approaching the home would have stepped through it. Yet inside the house, investigators found no muddy footprints on the light-colored carpets. The bedroom itself looked almost untouched. Furniture was in place, and fragile objects on the nightstands remained undisturbed. The physical evidence suggested that no stranger had entered the house at all. A closer forensic examination revealed further inconsistencies. Jennifer had pointed to the cuts on her legs as proof that she fought off the attacker. However, the medical examiner noted that the wounds were straight, evenly spaced, and applied with uniform pressure. In forensic science, injuries like these are often referred to as hesitation marks, cuts commonly associated with self-inflicted harm. In a genuine struggle, wounds tend to be irregular, chaotic, and varied in depth. Jennifer's injuries showed none of those characteristics. Even more telling, she had no defensive wounds on her arms, injuries that typically appear when someone tries to block a weapon. Inside the bedroom, investigators found no signs of a fight. The position of James Nibbe's body indicated that he had been asleep when the shot was fired. His posture appeared natural, and there was no indication that he had awakened or attempted to defend himself. Ballistic analysis revealed the most decisive detail. The muzzle of the shotgun had been pressed directly against his head when the trigger was pulled. That finding eliminated the possibility of an accidental discharge during a struggle. Another problem emerged when detectives examined the shotgun itself. Jennifer had claimed it had been left outside in the rain all night, where the intruder supposedly retrieved it. Yet the weapon was completely dry. For investigators, the conclusion became unavoidable. The break-in had been staged by someone already inside the house. To understand what might have led to such a crime, detectives began reconstructing the history of the couple. James Nibbe had been born on October 30th, 1983, and raised in the rural community of Vernon Center, Minnesota. Friends knew him as an outdoorsman who enjoyed hunting and belonged to local groups such as Ducks Unlimited. After graduating from Welcome Memorial High School in 2002, he worked in contracting and remained closely tied to his community. Jennifer Gilman, who later became Jennifer Nibbe, was 6 years older. At just 16, she had become a single mother. Despite that challenge, she completed her education and eventually became a registered nurse. Their paths crossed in 2007 under unusual circumstances. James had taken a friend to seek medical treatment, and Jennifer happened to be the nurse on duty. They quickly bonded over shared interests, particularly their love of the outdoors and hunting. James later proposed after first receiving the approval of Jennifer's teenage son. The couple married in May 2008, and to those around them in Blue Earth County, Minnesota, they appear to be building a happy life together. But beneath the surface, serious problems were forming. Financial records later revealed that the household was under severe strain. Jennifer held 2 nursing jobs and was the primary earner, while James was working as an apprentice electrician and brought in a smaller income. Their debts were mounting. The couple had taken out a second mortgage, and their credit card balances had reached alarming levels. Relatives later recalled Jennifer frequently expressing frustration about being the main financial provider. Investigators eventually discovered that the financial crisis had a deeper cause. As a nurse, Jennifer had access to prescription medications. Internal reviews and later admissions revealed that she had developed a severe addiction to opioid painkillers. She had been diverting pills from patients and falsifying prescriptions to obtain more. During questioning, she admitted that her daily consumption had reached between 100 and 180 pills. Maintaining that level of dependency required enormous amounts of money, which explained the massive debt accumulating in the family's accounts. While James believed their financial struggles were caused by broader economic pressures, Jennifer had been hiding the true source of the crisis. As detectives continued their investigation, they uncovered another secret. During a search of the home, officers found Jennifer's private journal. In those entries, she described an intimate relationship with another man. Although she wrote that James was a good person, she admitted she no longer wanted to remain in the marriage. Phone records confirmed that she had been exchanging explicit messages and photos with the man long before the killing. Surveillance later showed her visiting his apartment not long after her husband's funeral. 2 months before the crime, in June 2010, Jennifer had also taken out a life insurance policy on James worth $250,000. She was listed as the sole beneficiary. The timing raised serious questions for investigators. The policy had been obtained during the worst phase of the couple's financial crisis, when Jennifer's addiction had already spiraled out of control. Her behavior after James's death only deepened suspicions. The very next day, while her husband's body was still awaiting autopsy, Jennifer contacted the insurance company to ask about collecting the payout. Her decisions during the funeral also caused tension with James's family. His parents had planned to bury him in a family plot in Vernon Center, but Jennifer refused and instead purchased a separate burial site at another cemetery. She also declined to give several sentimental belongings to his relatives. Witnesses later described her demeanor during the funeral as emotionally distant. According to testimony presented in court, she did not shed a single tear. Within days, investigators moved forward with an arrest. While in custody, Jennifer's story began to unravel. She eventually admitted that the burglary had never happened. She confessed that she had shot her husband while he slept. She also acknowledged that the cuts on her legs were self-inflicted and that she had staged the crime scene to make it appear as though an intruder had been responsible. Her defense team attempted to argue that she was mentally unstable due to her heavy drug use. Jennifer claimed she had heard voices telling her to pull the trigger. However, a panel of forensic psychiatrists concluded that she was legally competent. They pointed out that the detailed staging of the scene, cleaning surfaces, creating controlled injuries, and carefully placing the weapon required deliberate planning and clear understanding. Prosecutors reconstructed the events of that morning. Around 4 a.m., Jennifer retrieved the shotgun that James had purchased for her as a gift just weeks earlier. She entered the bedroom where he was asleep and fired at close range, the muzzle pressed directly against his head. Death was instantaneous. Immediately afterward, she began staging the scene. She cut her own legs to simulate injuries from a struggle, moved objects in the room to create the appearance of disorder, and placed the shotgun outside in a sheltered spot so it would remain dry despite the rain. She then carefully cleaned the interior of the house to remove any traces of mud or dirt that might contradict her intruder story. Only after completing those steps, an operation investigators later estimated took less than 20 minutes, did she call emergency services. Nearly 2 years later, in July 2012, the case reached its final stage in court. Prosecutors in Blue Earth County offered Jennifer a plea agreement. The original charge of first-degree premeditated murder was reduced to second-degree murder. Jennifer accepted the deal in open court and acknowledged responsibility for her husband's death. She was sentenced to 25 years in prison with eligibility for supervised release after serving 2/3 of that sentence, about 15 years. The court also ordered that any wages she earned while incarcerated be used to repay more than $11,000 in funeral expenses. The consequences of the crime continued to affect the Nibbe family for years. James's father struggled deeply with the loss and the ongoing legal conflicts that followed. In September 2011, he passed away, unable to withstand the emotional toll. The family later fought a prolonged legal battle over burial arrangements and personal belongings. Only after extended proceedings were James and his father finally laid to rest side by side. In response to the case, the Nibbe family advocated for new legislation in Minnesota known as James's Law. The law was designed to prevent spouses convicted of killing their partners from controlling the victim's assets or blocking the transfer of belongings to surviving relatives. To honor his memory, an annual scholarship called the Outstanding Character Award was also established at Memorial High School. According to records from the Minnesota Department of Corrections, Jennifer Nibbe will become eligible for supervised release review in August 2027 when she is 50 years old. James's family maintains that the financial restitution has never been paid and that her potential release would come without any genuine expression of remorse.